It's always been a great community. It's still a great community because it's populated by great people in the community who love Atlanta.
This is National Night Out, and we're pleased to be here in the Collier Heights, historic Collier Heights community. So we've got representatives from all of our public safety agencies here, APD, AFRD, the court system are here at this time, and we're having a cookout, but it's bigger than that. We are reclaiming the streets for the community, from the criminals. You know, you can't terrorize us anymore. You can't victimize us anymore.
We have to be intentional about rebuilding relationship between community and our police. And I think it's not just about building the relationship, but reinstilling trust back in our communities. And especially at a time where crime is at its highest we've seen in this nation, I think it's even more important that we're working collaboratively with our local police officers and our community members to help mitigate the continued rise in crime.
Anytime that a community comes together, it builds a stronger city. When neighbors talk to each other, when they talk to their elected officials, and they talk to their firefighters and police officers, it makes for a really strong community, and that's what we want to see across the city. So tonight is proof of that all of our neighborhoods are strong and vibrant, and together we can make our city safe.
It's an opportunity for them to get close up to the residents and just really show that they're human beings. You know, police officers are human beings just like anybody else. They've got feelings, and so the police love doing this. This is their time where they get an opportunity to really come together and don't have to write reports and can really talk on the same level as the citizens.
Thank you all so much.
At the heart of National Night Out, safer and stronger communities happen when we're connected. And for 17 years, Midtown Neighborhood Association has been hosting this event. Even the rain didn't keep people away. I think it speaks to the sense of community here that exists. The city's going through a challenging time right now, and connectedness and community is even more important than it has been over the last several years.
We are here because we are very encouraged, and we want our neighbors to do Citizens on Patrol, look out for one another during this crime wave here in Northwest Atlanta.
And when we talk about crime, it's more than just our police officers who, of course, put their lives on the line every day and night for us, but we have to have strong communities and strong community policing where the people know the officers and the officers know the people in the communities, and we can work together to drive out crime from our neighborhoods.
I just got through with a conversation with the Atlanta Police Department and the community, asking questions about crime and how we can make a difference. And I'm very excited about the enthusiasm from the neighborhood folks.
You see something, you what? Say something. We need to fight this crime. That's why I'm glad to see these officers out here.
This is the neighborhood that I live in, and these beautiful homes have beautiful neighbors, and they're all here to talk about public safety and to see each other. Always remember to be safe and to look out for your fellow man and take care of your police officers as they take care of us.
Historic Collier Heights neighborhood happens to be my neighborhood, and so this is always my last best stop. The rain didn't stop them. They're out here to fellowship, to meet their neighbors, to have fun with their neighbors, but also to keep cognizant and remember about public safety. Our fire department and police department always come out so the community can say thank you to them for all the great work that they do.
We're out here for our first official kickoff with our partners HelloFresh, Second Helpings Atlanta, and Pratt Industries as we kick off their Meals with Meaning program. Their HelloFresh nationally is going to give away over 60,000 meals a month. Here in Atlanta, we're going to be doing 800 meal kits a week. Now that ends up being about 8,000 meals because there are 2 meals for a family of 4 in each kit. So every Wednesday for the next calendar year, we're going to be distributing food to folks who need it. So folks who are in a food desert, if you've been adversely affected by COVID-19, if you're struggling to feed your family, or if you just need some additional help this week, come by. We'll make sure that you get a meal and make sure that we help ameliorate some of those problems in your home.
Today we're here in Northwest Atlanta to say goodbye to this old eyesore that has been plaguing this community for over a decade. Sierra Ridge was a drug haven, drug-infested parcel of land right here at 3202 Delmar Lane. So community members gathered here today because this is the beginning of the rehabilitation and renovation of Sierra Ridge. Over 10 years ago, there were over 300 code enforcement violations, over 300 calls to 911, and we knew that we had to do something about it. It is very important that they have a safe, sanitary environment. We will be working with the owners of this property and the developers to make sure that the quality of life for all residents exists in Northwest Atlanta.
We're out here today at the Winston Boys and Girls Club down on Lakewood Avenue in Southeast Atlanta in partnership with Clover Healthcare, Hillsong Atlanta Church, with Pastor Sam as the leader, and of course, other community partners who donated to do a back-to-school book drive. And this is probably the largest book drive that has taken place to this point in the summer. We definitely have a bounty. We're not just giving away the actual books bags, but they're chock full of supplies. Everything, papers, pencils, everything you need, rulers, stuff for school. And in addition to that, on top of that, to reward the good students who do well, we've got not only Xbox controllers, but Xbox chargers in addition to that. And people are still bringing supplies. We had targeted about 250 families. We've exceeded that. The giving has been so good that we have supplied over 250 families. We want to make sure that they are as equipped as possible so that they can tackle their academic year with verve and fervor and can make sure that they do as well as they can.
Thanks for joining us for this edition of Stay at Home Connect. I'm Phyllis Jackson. The Food and Drug Administration grants full approval to the Pfizer COVID-19 vaccination for those aged 16 and up. Officials believe it will kick off a number of vaccine requirements from many businesses and organizations. The Reverend Jesse Jackson and his wife Jacqueline are hospitalized after contracting COVID-19. They are now both being treated at Northwestern Memorial Hospital in Chicago and are said to be resting comfortably. Jackson received the Pfizer vaccine back in January. COVID cases continue to rise in the state of Georgia. Georgia's Department of Public Health is showing that there are over 2,700 ICU beds in use. That represents 90.1% of Georgia's capacity. Governor Brian Kemp signs an executive order granting businesses the authority not to comply with local mask or vaccine mandates. This week, the state of Georgia reported more than 7,000 COVID cases and 46 deaths. In a recent statement citing a dramatic increase in hospitalizations, Cobb County declares a state of emergency. The declaration allows resources to be distributed to area hospitals, state agencies, or those with a need for supplies or equipment, and it will be in effect for 30 days. Cobb County has reinstated its mask requirement for entry to all of its county government facilities, but Cobb's school district plans to keep masks optional. If you're planning on attending DragonCon, there are updated guidelines. Attendees will need to provide proof of vaccination or proof of a negative COVID-19 test. Additionally, masks will be required.
Today, this is a service project in the Bush Mountain community, and we are on the Atlanta Black Crackers practice field, and sometimes they played ball on this field. So they were professional ball players. Many of them went to the major leagues, okay, from right here in the Bush Mountain community. We're refurbishing the ball field here. We've had the family of 2 of the 3 Atlanta Black Crackers that I honored today here. So we had a large group of family members from Charles Ingram and from Preston Ingram. They were just great ball players. It's just so much history here in this city, not only in the district that I represent, but throughout the city of Atlanta. This is just a great opportunity for us to celebrate bygone years, but to remember those that came before us.
Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the Wednesday, August 25th Finance Executive Committee meeting. We will begin shortly.
We'll begin right now, if that's all right. It is 1:31. This is a regularly scheduled meeting of the Atlanta City Council Finance and Executive Committee meeting. I'm Howard Shook. I am the Vice Chair, pursuant to a request by our Chair, Ms. Ide. I will be pinch hitting today. So I'll call the meeting to order. And Ms. Kempson-Wright, are we ready for the roll call?
Yes, Mr. Vice Chair. Councilmember Jennifer N. Ide. Here. Thank you. Councilmember Howard Shook.
Aye.
Councilmember Natalie Mosley Archibald. Councilmember Andre Dickens. Councilmember J.P. Mazakite.
Here.
Councilmember Joyce M. Shepherd.
Present.
Councilmember Matt Westmoreland.
Here.
Mr. Chair, we do have a quorum.
Mr. Dickens is here. Andre Dickens is here.
Okay. And Mr. Dickens has already alerted me that he will be voice voting. Do we have any other voice voters as of now?
That's okay.
Okay.
Westmoreland, hopefully not for long.
Okay. Okay. Could we proceed with the remote meeting statement, please?
Yes, this Finance Executive Committee meeting is being conducted remotely as advertised and is in accordance with the official code of Georgia 50.14.1. The meeting will be conducted in conformance with Robert's Rules of Order and the Rules of Council as authorized by the City Code. The public may access the meeting by the following bridge, toll-free access 877-579-6743, conference ID 831-599-1256, which was noted on the Friday, August 20th public meeting notice. The public may also view the meeting on Channel 26, citycouncil.atlantic.gov, or the Council's YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter pages via at ATL Council. All presentations are available on the Atlanta City Council Finance Executive Committee presentation page. The agenda was published and made available on Friday, August 20th via atlantacitygA.iqn2.com. Public comment was accepted between the hours of 4 p.m. and 7 p.m. on yesterday, Tuesday, August 24th. All persons present on the presentation conference bridge are requested to mute your phones and speakers. Additionally, speakers must be acknowledged by the presiding officer prior to speaking. Each councilman is requested to open your Outlook email and minimize the screen to view amendments, substitutes, and informational documents which were distributed to you earlier. Thank you all in advance for your cooperation.
All right, thank you. And as regards today's agenda, the Department of Finance has proposed a walk-in resolution. So with that in mind, I'll make a motion to adopt the agenda with that amendment. Any questions? All right, we have a first and a second. Let's open the vote. While they're tabulating, Mr. Dickens? Mr. Matchkite?
Yes.
Mr. Westmoreland?
Aye.
Ms. Archibald?
Yes.
Thank you.
Did you call my name? Shepard?
I meant to. Ms. Shepard, how are you? How do you vote?
Yes.
Okay, and so you're voice voting today?
No, I had timed out. I apologize.
Okay, but you're on the system now?
Yes.
Okay, excellent.
Okay. Mr. Chair, we do have the motion to amend as approved. 7 yeas, 0 nays. You can now take a motion to adopt the agenda as amended.
And I will make that motion.
Second, Matchkite.
We've got a first and a second because we have so many voice voters today. Let me ask this: is there anyone who objects to the adoption of the agenda as amended? If so, please speak up. All right, hearing none, by unanimous consent, the agenda is adopted as amended. Next, I will make a motion to approve the minutes of the prior meeting.
Second, Matchkite.
We have a first and second again. Is there anyone who objects to adopting the said minutes? All right, hearing none, let's consider those adopted by unanimous consent. Thank you. That takes us to public comment. I believe we have some 5 minutes worth, and if that's correct, let's commence.
One moment, Mr. Chair.
I want to make a comment to the Finance Committee, particularly since y'all handle the bidding of money spending as well as receiving. There's 2 particular issues that I'm interested in commenting on. One is, of course, the possible location of the training facility promoted by the Atlanta Police Foundation. There are other locations. Specifically, one of the 2 that I'm in favor of is at Metropolitan College. And I understand that the police training facility and the fire too would have a welcome local piece of real estate there. The second part of it is the extortionist money that the city is gaining, the revenue that is gaining from parking citations. That Duncan from Milwaukee's on an incentive program to cite as many people as they can. And there are thousands of Atlanta residents and visitors that have no idea that you're not supposed to park within 20 feet of a crosswalk emanating from an intersection. There's no education about this. There's no signage. No painted red curbs. The other item that I had a conflict on and I didn't get a chance to call the Utilities Committee because I especially wanted to, well, before we get to utilities, let me mention Madeline Archibald. I want to thank her for presenting Cap County Larry Johnson's email and getting a hold on the citing and the going forward of that Police Foundation project. But now that I've mentioned Madeline Archibald, I still want her to call me back because she has oversight, and the Utilities Committee has oversight of watershed management. Watershed management has for years. It's been a while, but for years, there's been combined sewer overflows onto my property. It's still not being dealt with. I have no idea what will. But they need to call me back and call my neighbors too that they have been impacted. I'm at 678-886-8666. And this is Steve Carr.
Greetings, committee members and staff, and special greetings to you citizens and voters who have tuned to this Finance and Executive Committee meeting. Ben Howard, Senior Advocate, Public Policy Analyst. Let's talk finance in PUR 9. Let's talk about the fact that the City Council will be finalizing discussion about the police training facility on its agenda Tuesday, September 7th. And let's talk about why you have not allowed NPUR citizens to participate in police training facility discussions at NPUR meetings. Let's talk finance in PUR 9. Let's talk about that notice Ricardo Jacobs caused to be put on the Nextdoor social media website, and why Ricardo Jacobs did not have the T.D. Jakes Ministries proposed development at Fort McPherson be placed on the NPUR agenda so NPUR residents and stakeholders could engage in public conversation about it at an NPUR meeting. Let's talk finance NPUR 9. Let's talk about how NPUR citizens can find funds to participate in their own self-governed code enforcement ride-through along the Campbellton Cascade corridors, so they don't have to wait for Councilmember Overstreet to take the lead in code enforcement matters. Let's talk finance NPUR 9. Let's talk about why sidewalk improvement never appears on NPUR agendas. Let's talk finance NPUR 9. Let's talk about why you have not proposed funding for an unbiased professional to come to NPUR and welcome newcomers into the community and to explain the neighborhood planning system to those newcomers. Let's talk finance NPUR 9. Let's inform citizens about how they can get paid as poll workers by calling the Fulton County Department of Registration and Elections at 404-730-7020. 404-730-7020. So Anthony Robinson, Carlos Claire, Ricardo Jacobs, Albert White, Renette L. Scott, Cheryl Brown, Sherry Williams, Agent X and UNPUR 9 cohorts and supporters. Let's talk finance.
Thank you. I believe that exhausts today's public comment. That takes us to G, presentations, status reports, and updates. We have 3 listed here. However, I believe that items 2 and 3 have been requested to be deferred for next time, which leaves only number 1, which is our Open Records Compliance Act compliance update from Ms. Denius. And so if she's on the line, let's commence with that.
Good afternoon, everyone. Can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
Wonderful. It's so good to hear your voices. I have good news for you. I have a very brief update today. So I will go ahead and get started, and then you guys can carry on with the rest of your agenda. So the first slide, we can move on from that since it's just my opening slide. I do want to take the opportunity just to quickly remind everyone that public record requests are still being handled remotely during the City Hall closure. The requests for records and responses to those requests are being responded to electronically. We do have staff able to access the building to gain access to any hard copy records that need to be retrieved. But luckily, since we've all been remote for so long, almost all of the records being requested at this point are already electronic, so that simplifies the process. We continue to have open records coordinators designated within each department who are monitoring their email inboxes and responding to requests to the best of their ability. And my transparency webpage is still up and is an excellent resource for anyone who has questions about the process of requesting records, and actually links to the email inboxes for all of our various departments. You can go to the next slide, please. I will once again highlight where to actually navigate to. So our City of Atlanta website is a font of important and useful information, but sometimes it's difficult to actually find the spot you're supposed to click. So I like to show this slide so that, to kind of give people a roadmap. So if you are on our main City of Atlanta webpage, you'll see the red circled language, I want to ... at the top right-hand corner. If you hover over that language, the drop-down box comes down and you'll see the link, which is third down below, where you see the red arrow that to request open records. And that, if you click on that link, it'll take you straight to my transparency webpage, and there is a hyperlink there that provides an alphabetical list of all of our city departments, including the email addresses to which open records at request can be sent. Next slide, please. So the substance of my update today is just really to bring you all up to date on where I am with the Open Records Management Software Procurement Project. If you recall, my last update was actually the same meeting at which you all authorized the award of the contract to AINS Ames Incorporated. That was in May. We executed a contract with them in June, I'm happy to say. And right now I'm working with the Ames team and our internal project team, including AIM, to start implementation work. So we are currently configuring the software so that it does all of the things that we want it to do. And my hope and anticipation is that we will begin with real hands-on implementation and use of the software before the end of this calendar year. Next slide, please. As a reminder, the goals and what we're working from in order to do the implementation for the software, we're trying to streamline the process for submitting public records and standardize our internal procedures for responding to requests so that our citizens have a coherent and cohesive experience when they request records from us. We're also going to be having online payment for fees where we can, and we'll be able to track requests by requester and send people automatic updates so that they don't have to proactively reach out to our staff to find out information if they're curious about the status of their request. We are going to be standing up an open records portal that people will be able to access online, and the back of the house software will allow us to internally track the request progress and also remind the appropriate parties about reminders for deadlines. and it will allow me to conduct auditing of all of the system activities so that we can establish metrics and analyze compliance in a more cohesive way. So again, that implementation of that software is ongoing. The very last thing I want to tell you about is that I'm still doing the open records compliance training virtually. So if anyone would like to have open records compliance training, I'm happy to schedule that. I'm also still working with the Department of Human Resources on an open online training model for our annual open records compliance training requirements. And with that, I would be happy to take any questions that anyone may have.
Yeah, I have one. Have you noticed any impact since the onset of COVID? We're now well into year 2, materially on ORR input?
So I will say there was definitely a decrease in volume of requests that we were receiving at the very onset of the shutdown. I think everyone in the world had more important things to worry about. But as the shutdown has continued and people have sort of adapted to the remote working environment, we have definitely seen a return to what I would consider normal levels. Normal levels, not crazy hair on fire, there's something really big happening levels. So just to distinguish that. And I've been very pleased with the way all of the different open records staff in all of our various departments has adapted and pivoted to virtual and has really done a fantastic job, in my opinion, of keeping up with the volume of requests that they're getting. I cannot tell you at this moment how well or poorly we are handling requests that come in by a hard copy mail. I don't believe that there is a significant volume of that. And for anyone in the public that is listening, that is not a good way to submit an Open Records Act request at this time. And if anyone needs assistance in figuring out the best way to submit an Open Records Act request, I would strongly encourage people to reach out to me directly through the contact information I have available on the Transparency webpage, and I'm happy to assist people with that. I will say that I have noticed an increase in people reaching out to me directly for assistance before submitting a request to ensure that their request is being directed to the right place, and I think that is a win for me. That is exactly what I would like for people to do if they're unsure.
Okay. Committee members, questions or comments? Okay. All right. Hearing none. Thank you, Ms. Denius, for your good work.
Thank you.
Ms. Kempson-Wright, what process step have I missed here?
Yes, Mr. Chair, I apologize. I was informed we actually need to take an electronic vote, and we would need to hear the members actually give their approval of the adoption of the agenda and the approval of the minutes. So we could go back and consider the adoption of the agenda as amended and the approval of the minutes as take both of those items together, and we will open the vote for them. If we can get a motion in a second. I'm sorry.
Now, who came up with that? I'm just trying to move things along. All right. That's fine. I will make a motion to adopt the agenda as amended.
I second your skepticism.
All right. That's a skeptical second by Mr. Matsakite. All right. Evidently, this is an abundance of caution regarding prior legal activity. So we have a first and a second. Let's open the vote and hear from our voice voters about the adoption of today's agenda as amended. Mr. Dickens, what say you?
Yay.
Mr. Matsakite made the second. Mr. Westmoreland?
Yes.
Ms. Archibald?
I voted electronically.
Oh, excellent.
And we are trying to get the vote to populate, but just to confirm, we have to take the vote this way to ensure that we are in compliance with the Open Meetings Act. So thank you all.
My screen is reading 7 yeas and 0 nays and 0 abstentions. That takes us back to the approval of the minutes of the prior meeting, which you have all committed to memory. I'll make a motion to adopt them.
I'll second that, Matsuke.
Okay. Let's open that vote.
The vote is open.
Mr. Dickens?
Yay.
And Mr. Westmoreland?
In favor.
Thank you.
The vote is closed. 7 yeas, 0 nays.
Once again, it's unanimous. That takes us to our first reads. Mr. Kempson Wright, can you do the honors?
Yes, item number 1 is 21-0676, an ordinance by Finance Executive Committee amending the FY22 Tree Trust Fund budget and authorizing the mayor on behalf of the City of Atlanta to enter into special procurement agreement SP1210333 community-based forestry with Trees Atlanta Incorporated for the planting and maintenance of trees, improvements to the urban forest, and community education in an amount not to exceed $1,743,850.00 in accordance with Section 21191 of the Procurement and Real Estate Code of the City of Atlanta Code of Ordinances. All contracted work should be charged and paid from account numbers listed and for the purposes.
All right, thank you. By virtue of that having been read, it will come back to us at our next regularly scheduled meeting, which takes us to regular agenda ordinances for second read, first of which is 21-0501, ordinance by the End Council. It's amended by the Atlanta City Council to amend the code sections indicated here, mandatory ethics training to require ethics training for all full-time, part-time, and contract City of Atlanta employees annually, and to require all full-time, part-time, and contract employees to attest to an ethics pledge to adhere to the city's standards of conduct, amend the code sections indicated here entitled Disclosure of Income and Financial Interests and Incompatible Interests to reflect current Ethics Division protocols, eliminate references to the former Board of Ethics, and reference the Ethics Division of the Office of the Inspector General where necessary and for other purposes. And is Ms. Sengove on the line?
Good afternoon, I am. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can. Thank you. Could you just please refresh us as to the need for this?
Yes. Good afternoon, Chair Shook and members of the committee. Jabu Sengove, Ethics Officer. So this legislation seeks to mandate ethics training citywide. And really what we're trying to do is establish a uniform mandate and process for this training, which is consistent with other city training that's offered. And one of the important considerations is that other big cities such as Chicago, Philadelphia, New Orleans, Jacksonville, San Francisco, as well as Seattle, have mandated annual training requirements, and we believe that Atlanta needs to have a similar requirement. Other revisions that we're seeking in this paper relate to Section 2814, which governs outside employment requests. Section 2814 governing our financial disclosure process, and Section 2820 of the Ethics Code, which pertains to outside employment requests from high-level officials and employees. So the revisions to Section 2814, which is our financial disclosure law, are really minimal, and really it's more of a cleanup effort seeking to add language that's consistent with the new Inspector General legislation. And so we've sought to add the Ethics Division where appropriate. And in terms of the changes to Section 2820, which governs outside employment, which I just mentioned, subsection D is no longer applicable, and that needs to be removed because it is not consistent with the new IG legislation in that the role of the governing board has changed. So those other revisions are just really cleanup efforts by our office. and the first one relates to the mandatory ethics training. And that's pretty much what this paper entails. And I'll take any questions that you may have about our proposed changes.
Thank you. Questions for Ms. Sengova? I'm not hearing any. I will make a motion to approve.
Second, Matsky.
All right, this is first and second to approve. Again, does anyone have any questions about this legislation?
Chair Shook?
Yes.
I just want to make sure that this is a substitute, because the substitute that was presented at council last week was for annual training. But I'm seeing on the agenda a reference to every 2 years. So I'm not sure if this is the correct one.
Okay, good question, because I am not showing the need for a substitute. Ms. Kempson-Wright, can you shed light on it?
Yes, the legislation was amended by the Atlanta City Council at the last meeting. It reads, the caption does read, City of Atlanta employees annually will be required to take the training. So it has been updated.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you. Are there any additional questions, comments? Okay, seeing none, let's open that vote, please. Mr. Dickens.
Yes. Yay.
Mr. Metzger.
Yes.
Mr. Westmoreland.
Yes.
Thank you.
The vote is closed. 78 nays. This item is favorable as amended.
Thank you. Item 3 is 21-0622, ordinance by Finance Exec, authorizing the Chief Financial Officer to amend the FY22 General Fund budget and Capital Finance Fund budget by transferring funds in an amount not to exceed $500,000 by anticipating and appropriating funds to and from the accounts listed below for the purpose of updating the City of Atlanta Comprehensive Development Plan and for other purposes. And who is available to present here?
Hello, good afternoon. Can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, hi. This is Kimberly Fallon, Department of City Planning. The legislation before you is a proactive effort on behalf of the Department of City Planning to provide funding for 2026 community development plan.
Okay, and just to be clear, because a lot of people have taken a sudden interest in the CDP and proposed changes to it, this does not add any content to the plan, correct?
Correct. This is just to put funding aside for the future CDP update.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else with questions, comments? I will move approval.
Thank you.
Second, Matt. Okay.
We have a proper motion and a second. If there's nothing else, let's open that vote, please.
The vote is open.
Thank you, Mr. Dickens.
Did you hear that? Yes.
Okay, Mr. Westmoreland.
Yes.
Thank you. All right, thank you. It's unanimous. The item's adopted. Next is 21-0623, and Ms. Kempson Wright, could you sound the substituted caption, please?
Yes, Mr. Chair. The substituted caption is a substitute ordinance by Finance Executive Committee authorizing the Chief Financial Officer to amend the FY 2022 General Fund budget by transferring appropriations in an amount not to exceed $50,000.00 to and from the accounts listed herein for the purpose of providing home repairs for seniors, authorizing the mayor to enter into an agreement to contribute to the funding of home repairs of seniors residing in Districts 9 and 10 through a donation to House Proud Atlanta Incorporated, authorizing the Chief Financial Officer or his designee to transfer donations in an amount not to exceed $50,000.00 as a charitable donation pursuant to the City of Atlanta Code of Ordinances, Section 6306, all costs to be paid to from the account numbers listed and for other purposes.
All right, I'll make a motion to approve on substitute.
Second, Matt Kite.
Second, Matt Kite. Are there any questions or comments? Okay, seeing none, let's open that vote, please.
The vote to bring the substitute board is open.
Dickens, Jay.
Westmoreland. Okay, thank you. All right, substitute is now unanimously before us, and I'll make a motion to adopt it.
Second, Matt Kite.
There's no questions or comments. Let's open that vote.
The vote is open.
Dickens, Jay.
Westmoreland, yes. Thank you. All right, the ayes have it unanimously. That takes us to item 5, which is 21-00624, ordinance by Finance Exec, authorizing the CFO on behalf of the Department of Transportation to pay the final outstanding invoice to SDNC Inc. for work performed along the Campbellton Road corridor under the FC indicated, which is the Campbellton Road Sidewalk Improvement Project, in an amount not to exceed $88,171.42. Invoice to be charged to and paid from the sources indicated. I'll make a motion to approve.
Second, Matt Scott.
Any questions or comments? All right, let's open the vote on the motion to approve.
The vote is open.
Dickens, yes.
Thank you.
Westmoreland, yes.
Thank you. All right, the ayes have it unanimously. That takes us to item 6, 21-00625, an ordinance by Finance Exec, authorizing the mayor or her designee on behalf of the city to enter into a non-exclusive revocable access easement agreement with Holy Temple Deliverance Church, the sole purpose of pedestrian ingress and egress via a sidewalk located between the church at 1206 Metropolitan Avenue, the city's property located at 431 Flat Shoals Avenue, and a parking area to the rear of the church for an amount of $2,500 to be paid to the City of Atlanta and for other purposes. So we'll make a motion to approve.
Second, Matt Scott.
Any questions or comments? Hearing none, let's open the vote.
The vote is open.
Dickens, yes.
Thank you. Thank you. All right, ayes have it 7-0. That takes us to 21-00626, ordinance by Finance Exec, authorizing the mayor or her designee to ratify services rendered in connection with the agreement indicated, which is the Peachtree Creek Trunk Stabilization with Ruby Collins /SC Consortium, which is a joint venture beginning on April 1 of this year, and to execute one or more change orders to extend the term of the agreement retroactively beginning April 1 of this year and ending no later than December 31 of this year for additional services at no additional cost on behalf of watershed management, et cetera. And do we have anyone from DWM who can present this?
Hey, good afternoon, Chair and Council members. This is Makita Brown, and can you hear me?
Yes, hello, Commissioner.
Hi, good afternoon. The purpose of this legislation is to seek approval to extend the terms of SC 9950 Peachtree Creek Trunk Stabilization Project for time only. The scope of the project consisted of the rehabilitation of the large diameter trunk sewer, as well as the rehabilitation of the existing siphon structure that was found to have severe deterioration due to hydrogen sulfide attack. Scope relating to rehab of the trunk sewer is complete. The term of extension will allow sufficient time for the contractor to complete the rehabilitation of the siphon structure. Subject to your questions.
And thank you. Does anyone have any for the commission? I'll make a motion to approve.
Second, Metzger.
Okay. Let's open the vote, please. The vote is open.
Westmoreland in favor.
Thank you.
Dickens in favor.
Thank you. Thank you. This will appear on the consent agenda. That takes us to 21-0627, ordinance by, Finance Exec, to amend the ordinance indicated, adopted on March 15th of this year, and approved per the city charter section listed on March 24th, by correcting the department name, monthly proposed amount, fund account string, and the FY22 anticipated amounts for the executive office for renewal number 2 of a co-op, number of which is indicated, with for wireless communications devices and voice and data services with Verizon. Corrective ordinance. I will move approval.
Second, Metzger.
Any questions? Seeing none, let's open the vote.
Vote is open.
Dickens, yes. Westmoreland, yes.
Thank you.
I was a yes. I think I didn't get my vote in on time.
Okay. I think we're unanimous. I'm waiting to see the screen. Indeed, we are. That takes us to 21-0628. This is an ordinance by Finance Exec authorizing the mayor or her designee to enter into the agreement, which is listed, citywide digital kiosk solution with Ike Smart City, LLC, design, fabrication, installation, operation, and maintenance of interactive digital kiosks on behalf of AIM for a term of 8 years, with 2 6-year renewal term options. In accordance with the code sections indicated here, all funds to be deposited in funds that are listed here. And who is presenting this today?
Good afternoon, Chair Shook and council members. This is Jason Sahi, Chief Information Officer. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir. Go ahead.
As stated, this ordinance will authorize the city to enter the agreement with Ike Smart City to provide a citywide digital kiosk solution. And the legislation is being updated for a term of 8 years with 2 6-year renewal options. This contract is a no-cost contract with the city, and the vendor will provide the design, installation, operation, and maintenance up to 120 interactive interactive digital kiosks across the city. The kiosk will provide access to online government services, wayfinding, and routing information to points of interest throughout the city. We'll also provide comprehensive event listing with an emphasis on local content. The kiosk will also provide a platform for advertising for commercial use that will financially sustain itself while giving opportunities for the city to generate revenue for future digital programs. Pending any questions, your approval of this ordinance is requested.
Yeah, thank you. How many of these do we already have up and running?
This is a new contract. Sure.
I know. But how many have been up and running?
Under this contract or under a separate agreement?
Well, no, under a prior agreement. I mean, we have, it appears to me, kind of similar devices that provide similar functions that have already been up and running.
I would need to go back and get that information.
I mean, there's one right outside City Hall. So I guess my question I was really most interested to hear was, and there was a similar kind of revenue sharing agreement. I'd like to know what we brought in per that deal.
That is information I do not have readily available. However, with this agreement, the vendor is looking at roughly a $6 million average over the term of the project.
Okay. Well, I mean, that's interesting to me, but since we've already had some of these things up for years, I'm kind of hung up on this is our chance to look back and see how does this work compared to expectations. So I'll yield to others with their questions.
Mr. Shook, I have a question.
Yes, ma'am, Ms. Shepherd.
I'm just going to follow behind you. I would like to know how many, and my question again, I just want to get clarity. Is this a renewal of the existing kiosks? Are we adding more? And where are they? I'd like to know a mapping of where they are. Can anyone answer that for me?
As far as the existing kiosks around the city, I would have to go back and get that information. As far as this the new digital kiosk and have phase of planning as to where the kiosks will.
You're kind of distorted. I can't hear, but some of your words, I don't know what's happening with that technical problem.
No, yeah, it sounds like John Glenn.
I'm not sure I'm hearing the. I'm hearing the.
Yeah, there's some kind of interference. But go ahead, Ms. Shepherd.
I want him to go back. And so, are these new kiosks that with this legislation is specifically for new kiosks? That's the question.
Yes.
And how many?
Up to 120.
Mm-hmm. And do you have a mapping of where they're going to be? How do y'all determine where they're going to be?
So this is a new project, and we haven't entered into that scoping phase that will outline where within the city limits they will be placed.
Mr. Schiff, I'd like to, we can move this forward on condition. I'd like to know, number one, is where are the existing ones? I want to know the qualification as to where you determine where we put them. I just need to know a little bit more information as we look at these kiosks. And you saying they're used for educational, for city, and what else? And I know the vendors use them also to advertise. But how are they used across the city again?
These particular kiosks are being used for access to online government services, wayfinding, routing points, and things of that nature.
Okay. I just would like to know a little bit more information. So before we have our council meeting, I'd like to move it forward on condition that we have the answers to some of these questions.
before our council meeting on the 7th.
Okay. But before we get to a motion, let's get to the other people with questions. And I believe next up is...
I'm sorry. I'll go back.
No, yeah, that's fine. Decide.
Yeah, I think I have some of the same questions you all have. I think that this is a different vendor than the vendor that has signs up currently, because I have some in my district that are with SUFA. So I am a little bit curious of, how that worked, how this, has worked out with the current vendor that has it, what the bid looked like of, putting this out to bid, who bid on it, all of that. I would just like to know a little bit more history about this one, since those original signs went up with one vendor as sort of a pilot or an initial contract or something. And, it just seems like we don't know a whole lot about how that worked out and why we're moving into this contract now. So I don't know if anybody has the answers to those questions today, but I think all of us are sort of curious about, we know that some of these signs are up and about certain parts of Atlanta and how the program has worked in the past and where the new signs are going to be going.
Yeah. So we all understand this is a new deal, and, so maybe it could be said that questions about the old deal are not all that helpful. I'm not sure I completely agree with that. Is there anyone here from the city who can discuss the procurement process for this?
Chair Shook, this is Jason Safety again. Deputy Football, are you on the line?
Hello?
I am just checking with my executive staff to see if anyone else is on the line. Those questions. CTO Green, are you on the line?
Hello, this is CTO Green. Are you able to hear me?
More or less. Go ahead.
Yes, so I can add to this conversation. There are two cities, including currently, that are managed by the company SOFA. And we do have a map, and we have a list of those current locations. The particular ordinance that we're speaking of today, this particular agreement has already been approved by City Council. What we were looking to do today is modify the terms of the already approved agreement.
Okay, well, and the quality of the transmission is not great. But what's before us is legislation authorizing it.
Is this better? Are you able to hear me better?
Well,
are you on speaker? If you're on speaker, can you come off speaker if you're on speaker?
Yes, I am no longer on speaker.
Okay. I don't know. I can't hardly hear what you're saying.
No, I know. Well, go ahead, Ms. Green.
If I can jump in while PTO Green gets their phone address. She mentioned that there are currently 27 existing kiosks throughout the city. We do have the mapping. We can share that. And that was an agreement with a different vendor. This is a new agreement with a new vendor for an additional up to 120 new kiosks throughout the city.
Understood.
And she also mentioned that this was already approved by council. This is updating the term of the legislation.
Well, so I'm hearing kind of two recurring questions. One is, what are your proposed locations for the 120, plus units you'd like to install? everyone gets that this is a new deal, so we don't need to cover that again. But I think also we're kind of remembering that a 50% advertising kind of revenue thing that's being proposed now was the same then. So is it? And what did we get from the old deal? Because I think it's unreasonable to assume we're going to do significantly better from the new deal.
Understood, Chair Shook. I have to go back and get that information as far as what revenue the city brought in from the previous deal.
Okay, I'll yield. Others with questions or comments?
Mr. Shook, this is
Yes,
Councilor
ma'am.
again.
Yep.
And I'm sorry, some kind of way you're saying that this is just to correct some of the agreement that we're talking about. I really would like more information on this and a little bit more comprehensive report on what you all are asking, some of the things I'm asking, which is, how did we do on the last one? Where are they? And if we're adding over 100 more, where we're going to put them? So instead of me saying moving forward on conditions, can we hold this and have them come back and give us a report at our next committee meeting and then move it forward?
Second, Matsukite.
All right, we've got okay, understood. We have a motion and a proper second to hold. Additional questions or comments? Besides.
Yeah, I just want to understand sort of procedurally what happened here. So this went out for bid. It was awarded to the current company originally at a 3-year term with 2 one-year renewal options. And then this legislation today is asking us to change that to an 8-year term with 2 6-year renewal options. Is that why this is back in front of us? And if so, if we're changing those lengths of time, what else is going with that? Is that the only change, or are there other changes to the terms?
That's the only change. Hello?
Yep, I can hear you. Well, why would we originally have awarded it on the first set of terms, and now we're greatly increasing the length of time?
There was additional due diligence that was performed, and there's going to be a significant upfront investment. And with the 50% revenue share with the city, the vendor's return on investment is actually backloaded, so they wouldn't make their return until the final years of the final renewal of the agreement.
Yeah, I mean, that sounds pretty darn material to me, that you bid on one set of terms, and then you come back after you've been awarded it and say, no, I want it for a significantly longer time period. So I'm going to vote on the motion to hold on yes on this one, because I think we need a little more information here.
Understood. Thank you. And I hope others are clear that one of the data points we're looking for here is, I think I may be wrong, but I think the 50% revenue was kind of a pitch involved in the last contract. And for me, I want to know what that generated, because I think I can be talked into it, but someone needs to explain why, if it performed well and the city made money, that's fine. Just someone needs to tell me that. If it underperformed, someone needs to explain why this time's going to be a lot better. And how many of the current kiosks are there? Again, I'm sorry, was it 20-something?
27.
Okay, 27. And are they going to be uprooted and replaced with something different?
These are additional.
Okay, but so same basic kind of look and functionality, correct?
That is correct.
Okay. Okay, well,
one difference to point out, it will have the interactive government information that I mentioned before, so they can go to the kiosk and actually get online government services, which I don't believe it exists kiosks have now.
Okay, such government services such as?
Government services such as the access to online services that you can get today, just via the regular internet.
All right. Well, I remember being kind of colicky last time about, everyone's got a smartphone and why are we doing that? Now, COVID, I don't know. Do people have to actually physically touch these screens to make things happen?
That is correct.
Okay. All right. Additional questions or comments? We do have a motion in a second, so we can get to that if there's...
Mr. Shook, can they come back? Could they bring a presentation on how these kiosks look now and what the new ones will look like? And again, you asked a good question. What are the services? Because I don't think I have any in my district anywhere, and I'm trying to figure out who are they? What is the audience? How does that happen? And so I just need to know. So when y'all come back, in addition to all the questions, I'd like to have that as a part of the information also. That's all I have.
Yeah, and Mr. Shook, I just want to, reiterate, went through procurement as a 5-year deal, and now we're talking about a 20-year deal. So when they come back, I also want some greater explanation of, that process, if we're saying that basically that the vendors realized it was more expensive than they thought it was, and they need longer to recover their, investment. That just feels a little bit funny to me, procurement-wise, because everybody bid on it thinking it was a 5-year deal, and now we're going to, after the fact, change it to 20. So I'd like to hear some more discussion from that and something from our procurement and our law department about that.
Okay, thank you. As long as we're compiling questions, and Ms. Kempson, right, are you getting all this?
Yes, I am.
Okay. One of my questions that I had then, and I guess I'll re-ask now, is I think one of the benefits that was, pitched to us was, was going to provide information about, where do you go, say, to buy a pizza from a local vendor. That was supposed to be a benefit. Well, so how was the decision made to pitch Bob's Pizza as opposed to Joe's Pizza? And I think perhaps Mr. Commissioner Martin Clark is on the line. Is that so? And if so, let's hear.
I am. Good afternoon. Can you all hear me?
Yes, sir, Commissioner. What do you have for us?
Greetings. Yes, this just in terms of the question on what's being placed in front of you. Again, the TIO is correct that essentially everything is the same except for the term. Originally, I believe it was going to be a 5-year term. I don't know if there was any other bidders, or maybe the only other one was found non-responsive. But on review, it was apparently clear that in terms of doing a build-out with the number of kiosks that was offered to the city, that the capital recoupment model just was not going to work under the original deal. So
but why not, Commissioner Wood? What do you think was the reason for that?
I'm not completely sure, but for the number of, I think it's like 100 or so, 125 or so kiosks, for them to build this out, to do all the connectivity and everything that's going to be required to build out this network of kiosks and provide this citywide digital service, they were going to need more time to be able to recoup their investments, especially where the offer that was provided for revenue generation, folks, was going to be 50%. The city's getting a 50% revenue generating offer on this one. And so the Department of AIM is bringing forth this paper for your consideration to allow for this company to be able to recoup their investment, which I believe is in the interest of the city.
Okay, understood. But Commissioner, now, do you have the documents in front of us per the last deal? Was the pitch and not also a 50% revenue share?
I do not. I believe the game plan is for the Department of AIM to be able to collect those and present them to the committee, but I do not have them in front of me now.
Okay, understood. All right, committee members, we've had extensive discussion.
Mr.
Yep.
Shook, can I ask one question of Mr. Clark now that we have him?
Of course.
I mean, it just seems to me that changing the terms this significantly, that I don't know that it's fair to assume that nobody else would have bid on it if, it was a 20-year possibility of a 20-year term versus the possibility of a 5-year term. I mean, it may be that there were few bidders because other people realized I'm not going to be able to recoup my investment in such a short term. And so there just seems to be some unfairness to me of them making the assumption they were the only responsive bidder out there and then, giving them 20 years versus 5, because there may have been people that thought, I could make this work under these new terms versus the original terms. So at some point, that's a material change in my mind to what we assumed. We made an assumption that there weren't any other responsive bidders.
I appreciate that view, Councilperson Nye. But again, in consultation with the law department and with the Department of AIM, it was viewed that this was a definitely a great deal for the city in light of, number one, the 50% revenue share that this company was offering, along with the number of kiosks and the services that they were offering the city. So again,
there's a reason we do competitive bidding on certain terms. And I mean, yes, this could be a good deal, but there might have been somebody else, if we offered these same periods of time, that were willing to do it at 55% and willing to do more kiosks.
Sure, but
we're going to hold.
Sure, but there's also a flip side to that, though, Councilperson Hyde, and that is that I think this thing was attempted to be put up before with some difficulty, and we ended up getting at least a viable, bidder. The other flip side is that we may not have gotten another bidder, depending on the circumstances. This is sort of like fishing. You just don't know what the circumstances might be at the time of the solicitation. And again, a review was made between the parties on this one, and the recommendation from the user agency was for us to move forward with this proposed modification.
Yeah, well, at the end of the day, it's a council decision whether we approve the contract, regardless of whether AIM thinks it's a good deal to switch the terms midway through. We're going to hold this. I want to hear from law next time, but I understand this has been rebid a couple times, and maybe that's because it didn't go out with competitive bids, but it sure feels like a bait and switch to me if you want to keep up with your fishing lingo on that. And maybe if what it takes is a 20-year term, then maybe that's what we should send it out for, is that, and make it fair to see if anybody else is out there. But I'll vote yes to hold today, and hopefully we can, hear from law, and then each of us is going to have to make our own decision whether we think this is a fair deal or not. It doesn't sound that way to me.
All righty. Anyone else? We do have a motion and a second. If there's nothing else, let's ring it up.
The vote is open.
This is the motion to hold?
Correct. And my screen has left the building, so Ms. Kempson Wright, if you could do the honor.
Yes. Will everyone please vote? Are there any voice votes?
Yeah. Westmoreland, yes.
Mr. Dickens?
Yay.
Mr. Shook?
Aye.
The vote is closed. 7 yeas, 0 nays. This item is held.
Thank you. That takes us to 21-00629, ordinance by Finance Sec, authorizing the mayor or designate execute the Third Amendment to a co-op, number of which is indicated, citywide office printer supplies and services with Xerox on behalf of AIM to amend the initial term of the agreement to October 31, 2018 through June 30th of 2021, to add services and add equipment to the statement of work and cost proposal on behalf of Watershed in an amount not to exceed $13,077.84, and to exercise first renewal option on behalf of AIM for a term of a year, retroactive from July 1 of this year through June 30th of 2022, in accordance with the code sections indicated here, in the amount not to exceed $1,773,687.19. All contract work to be charged to and paid from, etc. There is a proposed amendment that will decrease some of these amounts, but who's here who can present this? Ms. Green, are you with us?
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
This is Deputy CIO Aaron Baugh. In reference to the Xerox legislation, we are decreasing the amount for ATL DLT, and so that decreases the not to exceed amount for this legislation.
And what? Okay, and give us, all right, I have it styled as an amendment, but give us the math as far as the decreases.
Okay, I can give you the amount. One second.
That's all right.
I don't have that. I'm waiting for that to come in for the exact amount on the decrease for the ADOT group.
Okay. Ms. Kempson Wright, do you have that detail?
I have the total amount. The total amount decreased from $1,773,687 to $1,751,904.
Okay. And is that decrease based on the departmental decrease?
Yes, it's based on a departmental decrease.
Okay.
Each of the departments that Yeah, each one of the departments that paid into this Xerox contract, it's different across the city, and it's based on their usage for the machines they have and the amount of their print copies. Yeah.
Okay, so overall, it's a little under $22,000 decrease. Now, Ms. Archibong, my screen's restored. I'm seeing you as the speaker. Is that for this or for the last wonderment?
No. It's for this one.
Okay, go ahead.
All right, let me take it off speaker. So, with the fact that there are, I don't know how many people are in the building versus still working remotely, has there not been a change in pattern of use of printing services in the city? There has been, and we can get you data on the usage. There are some areas that still have high volume, and then there are other departments that have dwindled down to, basically nothing, just paying for support of devices. But some of our areas that have continued to work, like public safety, Department of Watershed, some of aviation, those areas are, they still have some level of, increase in some respects. But there are differences, and we have seen a decline in some departments. Okay, and then remind me the benefit of leasing versus purchasing equipment. And then I may have to defer if she's on our CTO Green to speak to that. Well, it's not worth holding the paper up, but it is something that I am interested in knowing. Okay. So I will hold it up. Information to you. That'd be great. Thank you. Okay, we can provide that. Okay, great. That's all I have, Mr. Shook. You're welcome.
No, that's a really good question. In a building that's been vacant for a year and a half, that's kind of been an interesting question. So we do have the data on the proposed amendment, which decreases the amount, so I'll move approval of the amendment.
Second, Matt Spence.
Questions, comments? Let's open the vote.
Vote is open.
Mr. Dickens.
Dickens, yay.
Mr. Westmoreland.
Yay.
Thank you. All right, the amendment is adopted unanimously. I will now make a motion to approve as amended.
Second.
Second by Mr. Westmoreland. Let's open the vote.
The vote is open.
Mr. Dickens, what say you?
Yay, Dickens.
Mr. Matchkite?
Yes.
Thank you. All right. Motion carries unanimously as amended. That takes us to item 11, 21-00630, ordinance by Finance Exec authorizing the mayor or her designee on behalf of the city to execute all appropriate agreements or all documents that would grant a utility easement across the real property known as Zero, titled Lee Hollowell Parkway, etc., also known as Center Hill Park, Georgia Power, for the purposes of installing underground power distribution facilities upon payment of $35,000 and waiving the code sections which are indicated here. First, I need to make a motion to approve an amendment which corrects the funding account.
Second, Matt's code.
Okay, let's open that vote on the amendment, on the procedural amendment correcting the funding account.
The vote is open.
Vote is open.
Dickens, yay.
Thank you.
Westmoreland, yes.
Thank you. Okay. The amendment is approved. I'll now make a motion to approve as amended.
Westmoreland, second.
Thank you. Vote is open. Mr. Dickens.
Dickens, yay.
Mr. Matskite.
Yes.
Thank you. All right, item is approved as amended. Thank you. That takes us to 21-0650. This is an ordinance by Ms. Boone authorizing the CFO on behalf of the city to transfer an amount not to exceed $100,655.64 from the fiscal year 2022 general fund budget to Technical College System of Georgia to satisfy unauthorized costs incurred between July 1 of 2018 to June 30th of 2019. And who's here to present this? Okay. Apparently, we do not have anyone on the line. I propose we move on while staff tries to.
Hi, Board Chair, Council.
Yes.
Councilman. Yes, this is Dr. Clementis. How are you with Invest Atlanta? Sorry, it took a while to unmute me.
No, that's okay, Doc. Go ahead.
Good afternoon, everyone. I do want to take a second to introduce Amy Lancaster to you formally. As you heard, she is now the Executive Director at WorkSource Atlanta, and we're excited to have her. She was previously at the Metro Atlanta Chamber and worked on WorkSource development at the state and regional level. So we're excited for her work and what she's going to provide to us here at the local level in the city of Atlanta. So with that, Amy, if you don't mind speaking to this item, that would be great.
Thank you, Eloisa. Can everybody hear me?
Yes, we can.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, perfect. So just to give you a little bit of context, the U.S. Department of Labor conducted a monitoring period July 1, 2018 through June 30, 2019. And there were several areas where they found some issues around overpayment, double invoicing, and lack of sufficient documentation to justify some of these funds that were spent. And therefore, that's what this reimbursement amount is covering all of that. As information, we have implemented new policies and procedures around both our individual training accounts and our subrecipients to help prevent anything in the future like this happening again. And we've also conducted staff training to make sure all of those policies and procedures that they're fully informed, fully aware, and we'll be using that as we conduct monitoring going forward.
Nice to meet you. Questions or comments from the committee? I'm not seeing my screen, so anyone with questions, please speak up. Otherwise, I'll make a motion to approve.
Second, Shepherd.
All right, we have a first and second. Let's open the vote.
The vote is open.
Dickens, yay. That's Kite, yay.
Chair Westmoreland?
In favor.
Thank you.
ahead, Mr. Clerk.
Yep, thank you, and it passes unanimously. It takes us to the first of several carried forward papers. Sadly, only two can be taken as a block because some of the others need remedial medication. But let's take as a block 21-0652. It's an ordinance by Mr. Matskite authorizing a donation in an amount not to exceed $12,700 from the Council District 8 Consulting and Professional Services and Carry Forward account to the Atlanta Police Foundation, Operation Shield, to assist in the improvement of Chastain Park, to the acquisition of a quad PTZ camera, and for other purposes. And 14 is 21-0653, ordinance by Mr. Hillis, authorizing a donation in an amount not to exceed $2,500 from the Council District 9 Carry Forward account to the Grove Park Neighborhood Association to support the Grove Park Gives Initiative, which is a program that supports legacy residents of Grove Park. And for other purposes, motion is to adopt these two items.
Second, Matskite.
Okay, let's open the vote.
The vote is open.
Dickens, Jay.
General Westmoreland.
Still in favor.
All right, thank you. Those two are adopted unanimously. That takes us to 21-0654, an ordinance by Ms. Archibald authorizing the CFO to amend the 2021 agency fund budget by transferring and adding to and from appropriations and anticipations the amount of $127,000 from an escrow account to the Atlanta Department of Transportation for the continual use of funding for the Edgewood Retail District Traffic Calming Project and for other purposes. And Ms. Kempson Wright, could you please sound the proposed substitute?
Yes, the proposed substitute caption only changes FY 2021 to FY 2022 in the caption.
Okay.
All other remains the same.
That's fine. I'll make a motion to approve as substituted.
Second, Archibald.
All right, second by Ms. Archibald. Without any other questions or comments, let's open the vote to approve on substitute. Mr. Dickens.
Yay.
Westmoreland, yay.
Okay. And Mr. Matskite.
Yes.
Thank you. All right. It's adopted unanimously. That takes us to item 16, 21-0662. This is an ordinance by Mr. Brown authorizing a donation in amount not to exceed $5,000 from the District 3 Carry Forward account to Park Pride to assist in the establishment of the Friends of Rodney Cook Senior Park Association and for other purposes. I would like to bring forward an amendment that ups that $5,000 amount to $10,000. That's my motion.
Second. Matskite.
We have a second by Mr. Matskite. If there's no questions or comments, let's open that vote.
The vote is open.
Dickens is a yes.
So is Westmoreland.
Okay. It's approved unanimously. I'll now make a motion to adopt as amended.
Second, Matskite.
Open the vote, please. Mr. Dickens, what say you?
Yes.
Mr. right, it's adopted as amended. Now, Ms. Kempson-Wright, rumor has it we have to go back. Please explain.
Yes, item number 15-21-0654. We only brought forth the substitute, so we just need a motion to approve as substituted.
Are you sure?
Yes, sir. I'm sorry.
I thought the same thing, so I'll make that motion, Mr. Archibald.
All right, thank you. I'll second it. Reluctantly.
I'll vote in favor of it.
All right, let's open the vote.
Matchkate, yes.
Dickens, yes. All righty. All right, my screen has flown the coop. I assume that's unanimous, which takes us to item 17, which is 21-0663, which is an ordinance by Mr. Faroki to transfer $40,000 from the District 2 Consulting Professional Services account, participatory budgeting, to Trees Atlanta and Candler Park Conservancy, and for other purposes. And so I'd like to move approval of an amendment which will add the needed account information.
Second, Matchkate.
All right, assuming there's no questions or comments, let's open the vote on the amendment correcting the account information.
Will everyone please vote?
Westmoreland, yes.
Dickens, yes. It is adopted unanimously. 21-0664 is an ordinance by Mr. Faroki authorizing the CFO to amend the FY 2022 budget and transfer $5,000 from the District 2 Consulting Professional Services account, which is participatory budgeting, to the Mayor's Office of Cultural Affairs and for other purposes. But first, I need to make an amendment which adds the appropriate cultural affairs account information.
Second, Matchkate.
All right, let's open the vote.
Dickens, yes. Westmoreland, yes.
All right, survey says it's adopted unanimously. That takes us to 21-0668, an ordinance by Mr. Westmoreland authorizing a donation in the amount not to exceed $5,000 from the Post 2 at Large Carry Forward account to the Community Foundation for...
Mr. Chair, I think there's a substitute that's going to change that caption a lot.
So let's do this. Ms. Kempson-Wright, could you sound the substitute?
Yes, Mr. Chair, and we will need to go back. There were two items.
No.
Yes, I'm sorry. We are not doing the second vote, which requires you to approve as amended.
We are, and I can't help it if not everyone's paying attention.
They're not paying attention to you. Number 16 and number 18, you can actually take them both together because you've already brought forth and approved the amendment. We need to make a motion to approve both as amended for 16 and 18.
Okay. Don't think I'm not going to go back and listen to the tape here.
I will too.
Motion to approve as substituted and or amended.
Second match, okay?
Open the vote.
Dickens is a yay.
As is Westmoreland.
And the vote is closed. Both of those items are favorable as amended. And that, for clarification, was items 17 and 18, Councilmember Faroki's items. I will read the substitute caption for number 19, 21000668. It. 1 minute. Okay, here we go. It's an ordinance by council members Matt Westmoreland, Andrea Boone, Antonio Brown, Andre Dickens, Amir Faroki, Dustin Hillis, Jennifer N. Ide, and Carla Smith is substituted by Finance Executive Committee, authorizing a donation in an amount not to exceed $32,000.00 from the Post 2 at Large Carry Forward account, the District 10 Carry Forward account, the Post 3 at Large Carry Forward account, the District 9 Carry Forward account, the District 6 Carry Forward account, and the District 1 Carry Forward account to the Community Foundation for Greater Atlanta to support LGBTQ outreach and the Mayor's Youth Scholarship Program and for the purposes.
And I'll move to bring that forward.
Second match, okay?
Open the vote.
Oh, Dickens is a yay.
As is Westmoreland.
Archibong is a yay. I'm offline.
Mr. Chair, the motion to substitute has been approved. That was 70 yeas, 0 nays. We can have a motion to approve on substitute.
Which I will make at this time.
And I will second. That's good.
Let's vote.
Dickens, yay.
Westmoreland, yes.
Ms. Archibong?
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, the vote is closed. 7 yeas, 0 nays. This item is favorable on substitute.
All right. Thank you. That, just like that, we're at resolutions. First of which is 21R3815, resolution by Westmoreland and Ide authorizing the CFO to refund customers for overpayments to water and sewer accounts in the amount of blank. All funds to be charged to, et cetera, et cetera. Motion is to hold. We don't need it this cycle.
Second match, okay?
Let's open the vote.
The vote is open.
Dickens, yay.
Westmoreland, yes.
Archibong, yes.
Thank you.
The vote is closed. 7 yeas, 0 nays. This item is held.
Thank you. 21R3822 is a resolution by Finance Exec authorizing the mayor order designee to exercise the second renewal option for the SP indicated Sensei PPM Beacon software upgrade and professional services for the MS project phase 3 with Sensei Solutions on behalf of AIM and Watershed for a renewal term of 1 year effective October 25th of this year through October 24th of next in an amount not to exceed $50,000. All contract work to be charged to and paid from, etc. And I'll make a motion to approve. I'm sure AIM is on the line if we need to have questions.
Second, Metzger.
All right, if there's nothing else, let's open the vote.
The vote is open.
All right, Dickens is an aye.
So is Westmoreland.
And Westmoreland.
And Archibald.
And Ms. Archibald. Thank you. Okay, it passes unanimously, which brings us to 21R3823, a resolution by Finance Exec to execute an agreement for the SP indicated box application licensing and services with Box Inc. on behalf of the Department of Finance, the purpose of providing cloud-based platform services in an amount max to exceed $139,600 for 3 years with 2 one-year renewal options effective December 14th of this year in accordance with the code section indicated, to be charged to and paid from, etc. And I would like to make an amendment to attach the procurement, the special procurement memo.
Second, Metzger.
Any questions or comments about that? If not, let's open the vote on the amendment to attach the aforementioned memo.
Archibald, yes.
Thank you.
And Dickens, yes.
Thank you. All right, that appears to be unanimous. That takes us to 21R3824, resolution by Finance Exec authorizing the mayor or designee on behalf of the city to enter into a special procurement, number of which is indicated, fire training center operation and maintenance with Carilla Fire Training Facilities Incorporated on behalf of aviation pursuant to the code sections which are indicated here for a term of 5 years in an amount not to exceed $586,500. The initial term, all services will be charged to and paid from the accounts listed and for other purposes. Now, there's a recommendation that this, number one, require an IPRO report and that we await said report until our next council meeting, which is a step I know this committee's been sort of loath to take. And so is there anyone from IPRO who can explain kind of what makes the situation different? Hopefully someone can explain why a $586,000 contract requires an IPRO.
Mr. Chair, per correspondence that I shared with Mr. Jones yesterday when he alerted me that an IPRO was needed, per the legislation, the total value of the contract is $586,000, which is approximately $117,000 per year. However, The fully executed value with the initial term of 5 years and 4 years of renewal options would be a little bit over $55,000 over the million. And Mr. Jones, I'm not sure if he's on right now.
Yes, this is Blanca Jones, the IPRO manager.
Yes, sir. Go ahead.
Yes, that was exactly as Ms. Kimson Wright explained. The $586,000 only accounts for the initial term, and it doesn't take the value of the contract in the aggregate. So that's what makes it require an IPRO report.
Okay, so the value of the contract in aggregate, which is if all the renewals were activated, would take us to a total of what?
$1,055,000 and I believe $700.
Okay. Okay. So what's been proposed before us by the administration is to approve this on condition. You've kind of heard the rationalization, questions or comments from the committee. Under circumstances, I'm going to make a motion to approve per that condition.
I'll second Matt's case.
Questions or comments? All right, let's open the vote.
Yes, Dickens.
Yes, Westmoreland.
Will everyone please vote?
Ms. Archibald, what say you? All right, let's close it. Let's close the vote.
The vote is closed. 6 yeas, 0 nays. This item is favorable on condition.
Could you hear me? This is Archie. Sorry.
Oh,
yeah.
Go ahead. Yes, ma'am.
Yes, I want to be in favor.
Okay, thank you. Let's add Ms. Archibald as an aye.
The vote has been updated to reflect 7 yeas, 0 nays. The item is favorable on condition.
Okay, now, Ms. Kempson Wright, what is my latest alleged infraction?
Our latest blooper is number 22, 21R3823. Just need to go back and approve as amended. A motion and a second, please.
Okay, I think I'm being persecuted here, but that's fine. I'll make that motion.
And I'll second it. This is Archibald.
Yes, Matt's case. Yes, Dickens.
Let's open the vote.
And Westmoreland.
Will everyone please vote?
Ms. Shepherd, what say you?
I thought I voted yes. Mm-hmm.
Okay. Decide.
Oh, I voted yes on mine.
Okay, thank you. All right. That's adopted unanimously. That takes us Kempson, right? Did we do that appropriately?
Yes, sir, you did. You're now on item 24.
Okay, thank you for that clarification. 21R 3825 is a resolution by Finance Exec to correct Resolution 20R 4005 adopted by the Atlanta City Council on June 1 of 2020 and approved per city charter section indicated on June 10 of 2020 by deleting the incorrect fund, department organization, and account numbers. The Departments of Public Works, Solid Waste, and Department of Public Works Motor Fleet, and replacing it with the correct FDOs and accounts. And for other purposes, I need to make a motion to amend this document with the corrective information. That's my motion.
Second, Matsukai.
Let's open the vote.
Yes, Westmoreland.
Archibald, yes.
Dickens, yes.
Ms. Hyde, are you with us online?
I think I just voted online, but I'm a yes if it didn't go through it.
Okay, thank you. Okay, thank you. Now, Ms. Kempson, right. I would now like to make a motion to adopt as amended.
Second, Matsukai.
Let's open the vote.
The vote is open.
I vote yes.
Dickens, yes.
All right, any stragglers? All right. It is adopted as amended. 21R 3826 is a resolution by Finance Exec authorizing the mayor to execute the Sixth Amendment to the agreement, which is indicated citywide electrical repair and maintenance services with Capital City Electrical Services, LLC, on behalf of Enterprise Assets Management, who had additional funding for the Department of Watershed Management in an amount not to exceed $125,000. All contracted work will be charged to and paid from the sources indicated. I will move approval.
I will second.
All right, Matsukai seconds. Let's open the vote.
Westmoreland, yes.
Archibald, yes.
Dickens, yes.
Okay. Motion carries unanimously, which takes us to our duels. And we have, I know we have one, which is?
It's item number 27, 210651.
And on this by Ms. Boone to ratify Mayor Bottom's executive order authorizing the award of emergency procurement agreement EA XXX housing opportunities for persons with AIDS program to the United Way of Greater Atlanta to administer program activities and service delivery through the short-term rental mortgage and utility assistance, permanent housing, placement, facility-based housing, and housing information services strategies which serve low-income households that meet the qualifications and requirements of the HOPA program on behalf of the city for a term commencing August 15th of this year and ending January 21 of 2023 in an amount not to exceed $1,576,763.75, directing the CFO to take any necessary action to assure that all contracted work shall be charged to and paid from the accounts listed here, and that the CFO ensure the appropriate legislation required to ratify and authorize the execution of these actions is prepared and submitted to the council forthwith. This comes forward from CD. Mr. Westmoreland, any comments?
Just a motion to approve.
Thank you. I will second. Questions or comments?
Matscott, yes.
Let's open the vote. Thank you.
Dickens, yes.
Thank you. Is that everyone?
The vote is closed.
All right. It carries unanimously. We have no held papers, correct?
Yes, sir, that's correct.
And there's no other duels, so that takes us back to our last item of business, which is the item with which we amended the agenda. And could you read that caption?
Yes, the caption is a resolution by Finance Executive Committee authorizing the mayor or her designee on behalf of the Department of Finance to issue Amendment Number 1 to Deloitte Consulting LLP under the Cooperative Purchasing Agreement listed ATL Cloud Implementation and Post-Implementation Support Services for services related to the program integrity for detection of fraud, waste, and abuse in the administration of federal funds received for supporting and recovering from COVID-19 in an amount not to exceed $1,400,000.00. All contracted work to be charged to and paid from the account numbers listed and for other purposes.
And is Dr. Wilson on the line?
Hi, this is Tina Wilson. Can you hear me?
Yes, doctor.
Yes, this is a paper to enter into an amendment number 1 with Deloitte for their assistance in the fraud detection services. It is more of a data mining IT support services that they will provide for us as it relates to the federal funding that we have received and will continue to receive. So this is a paper to allow us to enter into that amendment.
Federally funded?
We anticipate that this could be eligible for FEMA reimbursement as long as there is a state of emergency. But for now, we have identified funding for what was not yet allocated out of CARES funding and a portion of general funding. But to the extent that any of it would be eligible for FEMA reimbursement, we would seek FEMA reimbursement as well.
Okay. So what's one of our Catholic marriages? Questions or comments? I will move approval.
Second, Matscott.
Questions or comments? Let's open the vote.
The vote is open.
Aye.
Dickens, yes.
The vote is closed. 6 yeas, 0 nays. This item is favorable.
Ms. Kempson-Wright, is there any other business?
No, there are not any other items.
And what do we need to go back and correct?
To my knowledge, nothing.
Okay. Do any of the committee members have any announcements for the good of the body? Hearing none, we are adjourned. Thank you.
Thank you.